Okay, good evening. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council is called to order. And may I call Governor Chato for his opening remarks?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, honorable members of the Cabinet, our other officials of the government, and the other officials also of the town of Loon, led by Mayor Lloyd Peter Lopez, and the rest of the officialdom, Vice Mayor LV Peter Relampagos, and the townspeople of Loon, and the people also of the province of Bohol, as they are watching us over television and radio. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Allow me first on behalf of the Boholano people to welcome once again to the province our dear President together with the members of his official family, Secretaries Mar Rojas, Secretary Gasmin, our chair, Secretary Singson, Secretary Dinky, Secretary Petilia, the rest of the members of the official family of the President. We are so happy to have all of you here again in the province. Amidst the trying times of the province of Bohol, it is always heartwarming that the father of the land, together with his official family, visits us to not only comfort the people but also to provide guidance and strong support in our effort to rehabilitate as well as put back normalcy into the lives of the people of the province of Bohol. And so tonight and today, as we moved around the town and also visited some other places, we have seen the plight of the people, and we have also seen the efforts of government and the private sector working hand in hand to alleviate the living conditions of our constituents. And so we thank you, Mr. President, for your visiting us. And let me also inform our President and his party that since the time you left the province after the last visit, quite a number of initiatives were already fruitfully implemented, including the infrastructure projects that were reopened in terms of road access. And these are very, very significant, including also the start of the rehabilitation by our public works people, as well as our engineering people in the province. And the access to Bohol has been normalized with the ports of Tagbilaran and the other ports already being used to the fullest. And the reports of Tagbilaran port has recorded an increase in the number of vessels that have docked in the port so far, and in all ports except Katagbakan port in this town, which really suffered damages. This is the Ro-Ro port of Katagbakan Loon, and this is also the International Cruise Ship Port project, which already started, but which incurred some damages. All other ports, Mr. President, are in is put to use now, with some damages in, of course, Tubigon port, but it has not deterred the usefulness of the port itself. So the other ports in Hitafe, Tubigon, Ubay, and Hagna, Talibon as well, have been put to normal use. For the power supply, Mr. President, out of 602 total number of barangays served by Bohol Electric Cooperative, 504 barangays were already energized. 80% already had energization, and the other half of Bohol, Buheco 2, has a 100% energization. And then the Department of Energy, with Secretary Petilia here, the regional director of DOE and DTI, with the officials of Loan and the other players in the energy sector, already started looking at the functionality and operation of the gas stations, because we wanted to normalize also the supply of fuel in the whole province. FIVOX, Mr. President, already rendered a report in the last meeting yesterday evening. By the way, we have been conducting regular daily meetings and media briefings as well with the other key officials of the different departments. And FIVOX has informed us also of their findings about their findings of the fault area somewhere in Inabanga, this Anonang Inabanga. And lately we were also discussing about possible rainy season coming, and warning also certain areas vulnerable to landslides that they should also be relocated when rains would come. So these areas are also being specified. The Department of Social Welfare and Development, together with the provincial government, has also distributed food packs all over the province of Bohol, and the combined efforts of the province and the national level, has generated quite a number of food packs distributed in the whole province. And Secretary Dinky Suliman, I'm sure, can give the details on this together with our regional director of the SWD. The Department of Education has also signified and submitted the report on the number of school buildings that have been damaged as an effect of the earthquake, with a total 797 schools needing demountable classrooms. So, demountable classrooms. Yes, 797 schools needing demountable classrooms, 343 for the first district, 290 for the second district, and 164 for the third district. The suggestion of having demountable classrooms will address the need of immediate opening of classes, as we have suspended classes, Mr. President, in coordination with the Commission on Higher Education and DepEd until November 5, 2013. We hope that the aftershocks will already subside so that we can return to normalcy very, very soon. The latest count for dead individuals as a result of the earthquake is 181 as of today, and injured 558, and missing individuals 12. The health sector also in the province of Bohol has received quite a number of volunteers coming from other provinces to help us. Our hospitals with present site operation on the hospital grounds are in Maribohok, Loon, Clarin, Inabanga, Carmen, and Katigbian. And of course, hospitals with present site operation at the hospital building are those in Hagna, Kandihay, Pitogo, and Talibon. We have also tents at the outer portion or in the grounds of Celestino Galeares Memorial Hospital, the only regional DOH-run hospital in the province of Bohol. The Department of Trade and Industry tomorrow, Mr. President, will launch here in the town of Loon the Descuento Caravan, and they have set schedules for the towns of Antiquera, Maribohok, Tubigon, and Sagbayan. The Descuento Caravan is an attempt to stimulate the business sector in the community, as it has been observed that only very, very few stores are opening in this area. The coordination with the local government, Mayor Lopez of Loon, has been made so that the authority of the local chief executive can also be exercised in their persuasive powers on the business sector to be able to contribute to the immediate opening of the business side in the town. Again, our gasoline stations are now open in Loon, Petron, in Antiquera, Petron, in Tubigon, Petron and Shell, in Sagbayan, Petron and Caltex, in Carmen, Caltex and Shell, in Buena Vista, Petron. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Mr. President, continue to monitor possible landslide areas and called for the assistance of geologists already to inspect. So FIVOX as well as the UP Institute of Geological Science are here and are still in the province to help us in the scientific studies. 5,000 lumbers of the DNR confiscated in the past are ready for donation to the agencies that will need them, the DepEd, the DPWH, and the other agencies. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources has also conducted their studies on the information of fish kills in certain areas as an effect of the earthquake. And then 5 different locations in the province have also been studied, as there are observed fish kills also in those particular areas. And BFAR is still expected to submit their reports on the matter. So I think that is the summary, Mr. President, of what we had and what we discussed and what were reported during our previous meetings since the time you left the province after your last visit. Thank you very much again, Mr. President. Good evening.
Thank you very much, Governor. We now listen to the welcome message of Mayor Lopez.
His Excellency Benigno Aquino III, our secretaries Marojas, Gasmin, and Suliman, and Singson, and Pitilla, Abad, our Governor Edgar Chato, the provincial officials, the municipal officials, to everyone, our provincial director of PNP, everyone, good evening, and welcome to the municipality of Loon. It's been 8 days since the earthquake struck Loon, and based on the reports gathered as per the Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council, may I now present to you the report, the Loon Situationer, as of October 23, 2013. Water, 65% of the water supply has been restored, and power has 80% of the power has also been restored, supplying only highway barangays. And out of 67 barangays, all 67 barangays have been affected by the earthquake. Out of 11,400 plus families, 9,795 families have been affected. Out of 67 barangays, 64 barangays have been surveyed. There are 3 barangays that have not reported yet. Out of number of casualties is 60, and we have not received the reports from the barangay captains. But that was as of 4 o'clock this afternoon. So I'm expecting 3 barangays have you received?
Just to be clear, may isolated communities na no contact whatsoever?
Hindi ho.
May contact naman tayo?
Yes, may contact naman tayo.
Very formal na report ang wala ko.
Yeah, 3 barangays ang kulang. Ho. Out of 67, 64 ang nakuha namin na. Okay. 60 casualties. 53 died on the spot, and 7 were retrieved dead. Missing 2. Injured 144. Number of evacuation centers 4. Number of isolated barangays, all in the upland barangays, 6 out of 67, 6. Number of landslide barangays where landslide happened, 6 out of 67. Number of barangays that need to be evacuated, 9. Number of totally damaged houses in 64 barangays. There are 1,473 totally damaged houses, 6,746 partially damaged houses. Number of affected persons, 44,107 out of 48,000. As for infrastructure, all important built heritage totally destroyed. The Casilak Church, the mortuary kiosk, the old Spanish-built cemetery. Partially destroyed built heritage are the Inang-Angan or the stone steps, the Sombria Bridge, the Gabaldon Building, Punta Baluarte Eco Museum. At least 18 vital installations or government properties destroyed, which include the Municipal Hall Annex Building, the Sports and Cultural Center, the 2 RHU or Rural Health Units, the Birthing Centers, Public Plaza, the Culture and Arts Office Building, the public market, our slaughterhouse, our library, senior citizens main center, our fire station, the Katagbakan or the Loon port, and the district hospital. Roads and bridges destroyed. The Sombria Bridge, the Moalong Bridge, Desamparados Bridge in Calape, Abatan Bridge in Maribohok, Basdio Tumukpok Road or the Causeway going to Sandingan Island. Schools, almost all school buildings have been destroyed. Extent of devastation still being assessed. Health, evacuation centers visited and served. Vitamins, supplementations, and medicines are available. Toilets at evacuation centers still to be constructed. The reported major diseases reported at consultation centers are acute respiratory infection, hypertension, fever, and wounds. All donors are guided to hardest hit barangays. All patients of district hospitals were transferred to tents provided by Red Cross, and some of them were airlifted to main hospitals in Tagbilaran. As for relief operations, food, water, tents, and medicines were distributed to all barangays. This is an ongoing. Blankets and foam beds were also distributed. Relocation areas prepared for installation of shelter units and communal latrines. As of now, food and water remain as the most important need. And relief aid continues to pour in from private and government agencies. Other developments, at least one gas station started selling yesterday, October 22. Vegetables and fish already sold at the market. Other basic commodities already sold at private business establishments. Money transfer service providers have started operating. And discount store to start tomorrow, October 24, at the public market, which has been organized by DTI. That's all, Mr. President.
Clarification na rin. Food, water has been distributed to all barangays, including the so-called 6 na isolated barangays.
Opo.
Okay. Yung isolated in the sense na hindi normal yung routes na dinadanan. Ganun.
Hindi po
Pero hindi
for-
totally isolated.
four-wheel vehicles, no. It's only for
Motorcycles.
accessible by
Bicycle.
motorcycles and by on foot.
Okay. Pag ganun, yung delivery ng foodstuffs is severely hampered. Pwede may helicopters doon mag-assist?
This morning, yes. Yes.
Choppers, okay. And the other thing. Yung numbers natin ng pati yung missing, we've accounted for everybody within the municipality of Loon.
Opo, so far.
So far.
Ay-
ang missing, itong dalawa na lang talaga.
Yeah, opo.
Okay.
But the missing, we believe that the missing are those who are still trapped from the landslide, and there is an ongoing retrieval operation. I think right now they're still retrieving the 2 dead.
Sige, pero,
Our-
di ba parang each barangays, tapos yung city leaders, etc., yung makagawad, would probably know their entire community, di ba?
Yes.
So, nag-accounting na tayo, meron
Opo.
tayo inventory.
Oh.
At out of, kompleto na yun, 2 lang nawawala.
Oh.
Out of the entire municipality.
Oh.
Okay. Sige. Okay.
Will you brief the President on the retrieval operation of the 2?
May I present to you our Chief of Police, Police Senior Inspector Jacinto Mandal, sir.
I see. Good afternoon. Good evening, my beloved President, Senior Officer, Sir, and this is now allow me to brief about the situation of the retrieval operation in our area of responsibility. This is the photo we have taken on where the landslides happen. So, itong natin, yung bundok, napakataas talaga. 30 feet tall, and the position of the house 15 feet, and we able to recover the Areneo in this side, and possible in this big rock measuring 4 by 3 meters. Baka nandito yung dalawa. So nahirapan kami, my beloved president, because it is very hard rock yata yun eh. And we are using backhoe. Our suggestion with our mayor that we will use backhoe. So by tomorrow, we will try our best together with the Special Reaction Unit of National Capital Region, headed by Police Fire Chief Inspector Bedes and Police Senior Inspector Fire Senior Inspector Tagyam, for possible retrieval of the 2 cadavers in the person of let Timotea Campo Amor and Marshall Registos, Mr. President.
Nung nalaman na missing na ito, dun pa lang talaga na...
Kailan na-report na missing itong dalawa?
On that particular date, Mr. President, October 15, 2013.
October 15 na-report na. Can you just check?
Yes, sir.
Para respond.
Kasama ko kasi sila with all the other missings at that time talaga. Thank you very much. Now we listen to the status report of OCD Director Morante.
Good evening, sir. Magandang gabi po, mahal na Pangulo. I'm happy to say that we have the same report with Governor Chato. Sila po yung nag-reconcile po yung report ng Regional Dream Sea and the Provincial Dream Sea of Bohol. Ang i-report na lang po namin that in Loon of 60 dead, 55 na po yung nabigyan natin ng financial assistance. And in Bohol, of 182 dead victims, 68% na po yung nabigyan namin at patuloy po ito kahit gabi, and then this will continue until kahit weekend po. But here in Loon, 55 na po yung nabigyan namin of 60. Sir, yun lang po. Halos na-report na po ni Governor Chato. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Minda. We now listen to the inputs from the different departments. Dinky from DSWD.
Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, Governor, Mayor, and colleagues from the Cabinet. First of all, I'd like to give the total picture, as the Governor said. This is a reconciled number of the end of the PDRRMC. The relief and the numbers are the same for the PLGU and DSWD and DreamC. Mr. President, as you know, as you have seen, there are 2 kinds of displaced people. One are those in the evacuation centers, and the other 2 are those in the community-based and home-based. These are the tents that are beside the houses, their houses that are destroyed, or clusters of tents in the middle of the field. The count as of today, sir, is 64,787 for the whole of the affected municipalities here in Bohol, which translates to 329,416 individuals. The numbers are, the first numbers were high because we needed to validate the numbers of families inside the evacuation center and doing home-based and community-based, because the tendency, sir, is that when they feel they can go back near their house, they leave the evacuation center and put up their tents. So that's our number today. As of today, sir, between DSWD, the provincial, and NGOs, we have distributed 186,901 food packs. This is as of 9 a.m. October 23. And 137,906 bottled water. So for most of the distribution, sir, we are going on our 3rd round. For example, in Loon, this is the third round because as was already initially reported by the mayor, the total number that we are serving here is at the level of 8,750 displaced. And we have provided 25,940 food packs as of October 23, jointly with PLGU and DSWD, not counting the private sector that have come and have supported. In addition to food packs, Mr. President, the other support has been family tents, which has come from family tents and tarps. And this is coming from different aid agencies, from DSWD, Red Cross, and World Vision, Shelter Box, CRS, Plan International, Caritas, ADRA. So a total of 24,000 tents and or tarps have been distributed. The repacking of food supply that we will continue to provide will be coming from three sources. One is Tagbilaran, and the province continues to do that in Cultural Center and Bohol Warehouse. The other is the field office in 7 in Cebu, and the NROC in Pasay, because the supplies are better in Cebu and in Manila. Right now, the hauling trucks, courtesy of World Food Program and the military, is 10 trucks going around here in Bohol. The plan now, sir, is to continue the food line and now increase the kind of food pack into a half-month food supply, so that we don't have to keep moving the supply. So it will be for a 2-week supply. Once we are able to do the repacking, we're targeting most food insecure families, and they are the totally damaged houses families and families from high-risk areas. What the mayor was indicating, those landslide and those still who are isolated in quotes, because you can only reach it by motorcycle or by foot, which is being done by all municipalities, Mr. President. Right now, for the shelter, DPWH will be building bunk houses in Tubigon in a 1-hectare property of the municipality, which will provide for 45 units, 1 unit, 10 rooms. We are also going to build here in Loon in the 11-hectare property together with Red Cross. And we will increase the number of shelter boxes that are coming in because the ongoing assessment will be for all those with totally damaged houses. They will immediately move into these places. For those who are actually in a relatively safe house, will stay where they are, sir. So we will continue to work closely with the Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council and the Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council. For your information, Mr. President, in the whole of Bohol, we have 56,496 Pantawid Pamilya, and in Loon, 1,040. And we will continue the payout now that the election has been postponed, because we were scheduled to do it, and the mayor was asking if it was going to push through, and we will push through next week, sir.
Thank you, Secretary Dinky. We now listen to the DPWH Secretary Singson.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, Governor, Mayor. Good evening to my colleagues. Mr. President, so far out of the 37 bridges that were damaged since the earthquake, only 3 more bridges remain unpassable. This is because they have collapsed spans. We are starting to repair the Abatan and Mualong bridges because they are the bridges that isolated Loon. So as we committed, we are still looking at a 4-week schedule. So we expect the bridges to be completed not later by November 20. Now, aside from the 3 bridges that are not passable, we will have to replace two other rivers, two other bridges in Calape. If you'll notice, Mr. President, most of the damage are on what we refer to as the Tagbilaran North Road. Mukhang doon nagsisentro yung mga damages ng mga tulay at saka mga kalye, no? So it looks like the identified epicenter is really not on the Carmen side but more on the northern portion of Bohol. We will continue to assist the local government in doing structural assessment of the municipal buildings, public markets, and I was just talking with Secretary Ona and Secretary Luistro. If they, apparently Secretary Luistro has already done assessment on the school buildings, and they're now coming up with their estimates of how much it will cost. Secretary Ona has already identified, using their own engineers, 3 district hospitals that need total rehabilitation. So, Mr. President, we will continue to provide support to the other departments that will need construction capability. That's all.
Yung barangays na isolated, for instance, here, major, minor issues to make them less isolated or parang possible to vehicles bigger than motorcycles and tricycles?
Mr. President, we're ready to, if the LGUs can identify them right away, then we will have our engineers bring in the equipment. Kasi tapos na ho namin yung national road. The first week, we really focus on restoring and making passable all of our national roads. No? So, since most of them are now passable, if the local government can start identifying yung mga nakabara pa na mga local roads so that we can also provide equipment.
Mr. President, the LGUs have their individual identification of the sites, and only the availability of the equipment is also being awaited. And in the case of Loon, it's readily available. And the same requirement is also needed in the other towns. But in terms of magnitude of work, Loon is the highest in terms of priority. Thank you.
Mr. President, just to let you know, the materials that are coming in were brought in through Roro, the ones that came from Dumaguete and Aklan. The others are going to come in through a direct barge already from Cagayan de Oro, where we have the depot for our materials. So the materials from Cagayan de Oro we expect over the weekend, but we've started work removing the slabs on Abatan. I just came from there this afternoon. So we're confident that we should be able to complete it before November 20. Or earlier.
Thank you, Secretary Babes. We now listen to DOE, Secretary Petilia.
Mr. President, on energy, power and fuel. Lahat po ng bayan dito sa Bohol, meron ng kuryente. As far as the town itself is concerned, meron ng dumadaloy na kuryente. So it's 100% on a per town basis. Pero pagdating natin sa barangay, the first graph, Mr. President, yung green, yan ang lahat may ilaw na 100%. And then yung orange is basically 33 to 66%. Yung yellow is almost 100% as far as barangay is concerned. In other words, about 83% ng ano natin, 83% ng mga barangays natin meron ng ilaw. Although ang town natin 100% meron, pero yung 83% lang ng barangay natin merong ilaw. Yung susunod na, yan Mr. President, that is the barangay basis. No? Yung susunod naman na, na graph, if you look mga 3 pages forward pa, Mr. President, the same graph, pero meron na tayong pula because this is on a per household basis. On a per household basis, ang may kuryente is about 62%, more or less, ang may kuryente. Karamihan dito, Mr. President, hindi natin mapailawan. Halo-halong mga kwento ang meron dito. Yung iba ayaw magpailaw kasi hindi sila sigurado sa structure nila. Yung iba naman walang nakatira, so ayaw pa nilang pailawan. Yung iba naman walang problema ang kanilang bahay, kaya lang yung linya na kung saan dadaan medyo hindi pa nakakasiguro kung talagang ito'y safe na. So right now, we have 215 katao, Mr. President, from Eastern Visayas, from Cebu, just about anywhere na pwedeng pumunta dito at tumutulong sa assessment on a per household basis na, Mr. President. Hindi lang per town or per barangay, pati yung bahay ina-assess na natin. That's why, as I said, gagawin namin ang kuryente, gagawin namin ang siguro, the list of the problem of Governor Chato. Ang target natin dito is by October 30, which is Wednesday of next week, lahat po may ilaw na. Yan ang target natin. Okay, Wednesday. Yung iba naman, Mr. President, talagang kung giba na yung bahay, hindi na natin mapailawan talaga. Ito lang yung kaya nating pailawan. So as far as power is concerned, at the most, October 30, thanks to the 215 na mga volunteers, task force kapatid na pumunta dito at nagpaalam na sa kanilang mga asawa na mawawala sila na 1 linggo. Sa gasolina naman, Mr. President, okay, halos lahat ng gas station nag-ooperate na ngayon. Nadaanan natin yung iba. Ang diesel ngayon, pinamonitor natin sa ating regional director. 44 pesos to 50 pesos per liter ang diesel dito. Ang gasolina, 53 to 60 pesos per liter. At ang kerosene, 52 to 55. Nagko-coordinate kami kay Governor Chato, tsaka yung mga mayors natin na kung iba ang presyo, medyo lumilihis dito, pakireport lang. At ang promise naman ng mga gas station, talagang sabi nila, they will put it at the prevailing prices. Wala po tayong freeze dito. Ito'y voluntary na talagang binibigay nila. Except sa isang town, Maribohok. Ang Maribohok is run by Caltex, at the reason why they cannot operate right now is it looks like, Mr. President, permanently damaged na ang kanilang gas station, pati yung tangke. The problem that we have, ang report na sa ABS-CBN at one point may report, tsaka sa GMA na ang gasolina dito ay 120 pesos. 100 to 120 pesos. Ito po ang bote-bote. At sa Maribohok po, hindi natin maiwasan ang bote-bote kasi talagang wala silang gasolina kundi yung bote-bote. Until this morning, Mr. President, meron tayong nakausap na taga-Petron. Nandito siya ngayon. In fact, magmi-meeting kami ng taga-Petron. Hindi lang siguro makapasok ngayon, Mr. President. But ang plano namin gawin dito is lagyan ng temporary tangke tsaka temporary na pump, manual. By Friday, may generator sila, electric na ito. At ang gagawin natin dito, we will try to eliminate the bote-bote. Proper gas station ito, makeshift lang nga. 4,000 gallons na tangke ang ilalagay nila. By tomorrow. But we need the coordination of the mayor. I was hoping the mayor of Maribohok will be here. Hindi namin makontak. Governor Chato, siguro pag-usapan na lang natin mamaya. Kailangan lang nila ng lugar kung saan nila ilalagay ito na malayo sa mga bahay.
By when?
Tomorrow. Tomorrow they will have it, and hopefully we can eliminate the 100 peso bote-bote per liter. Kasi ang problema ng iba, Mr. President, kung ikaw ay habal-habal, hindi ka pupulta sa Loon para lang magpagas kasi pag uwi mo, ubos na yung gasolina mo. So talagang napipilitan sila sa bote-bote. Lahat ng depot are operational. Ang problema na lang paglipat ng yung mga tanker natin hindi pa makalanding. Kaya ang ginagawa ng iba ngayon, ang alternative natin is itatruck na lang, irororo para pag-replenish sa gasolina natin dito. Pero meron tayong gasolina ngayon. That's all, Mr. President.
Trucking will be sufficient. Can carry carry the load?
While ginagawa nila ang docking station nila, which I think before the end of the week magagawa na nila. This is temporary measures lang.
LPG.
LPG so far, we do not have any reports of any problem. At Director Labios, wala kaming problema. Enough supply tayo.
Province-wide.
Province-wide po yan. That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you. May now hear Secretary Rojas of DILG.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, colleagues, mga kababayan. Ang PNP at ang DIG ay patuloy na tumutulong sa relief distribution at pagbabantay na napupunta ito sa mga talagang nangangailangan at hindi nahahaluan po ng politika. Malaking tulong yung pagpapaliban ng barangay elections at nabawasan yung pressure at yung katindihan ng political dynamics at the local level. Ganun pa man ay patuloy na nagbo-monitor ang PNP at ang DILG na ang mga relief goods ay talagang makarating dito sa mga komunidad na ito. Dagdag pa doon, Mr. President, wala hong report ng mga looting or other crimes against property at least in the last 8 days, no, since nangyari itong lindol na ito. Patuloy na nakabantay ang PNP, lalong-lalo na dito sa mga government facilities that have since been destroyed. At dagdag pa ngayon ay yung hiningi ni Mayor, yung hiningi ni Father dito sa Loon Church ay magpapatalaga ho tayo ng bantay para yung mga church artifacts and other valuable items ay hindi manakaw. They're also providing manpower to help in the repacking at kasama na rin sila sa paghahatid nitong mga relief goods, lalong-lalo na sa mga malalayong lugar. Bilang first responder, nung araw nung lindol, yung police, yung Bureau of Fire ay nakatutok at hanggang ngayon ay nakatutok pa rin sa kanilang mga trabaho. Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, sir. We now listen to General De Berreturda on the AFP's participation.
Magandang gabi po, Mr. President, at sa ating lahat. Good evening. Ang inyo pong sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas na nakatalaga sa Visayas ay agad po naming ilagay sa red alert at isinali sa Provincial DRRMC. Sa kasalukuyan po, bukod sa aming pagtulong na mapanatili ang seguridad at kapayapaan hindi lamang sa Bohol, kundi pati sa Cebu, ay nakapagdala na po rin kami dito sa Bohol ng 578,000 pounds through the Philippine Navy na relief goods. Ang Philippine Air Force po ay round the clock din na kumikilos, ay nakapag-deliver na rin po ng 409,000 pounds ng relief goods. Ang total po nito ay 987,660 pounds. Ito pong mga dinadala ng C-130 galing po sa Maynila at yun namang dinadala po ng Philippine Navy patungong Tagbilaran at Tubigon ay nanggagaling po ng Cebu. Ang mga hindi po marating ng sasakyan ay pinupuntahan rin namin sa pamamagitan ng paggamit ng ating mga helicopters. Meron po tayo ngayong sa kasalukuyan na nasa Tagbilaran ay 7 helicopters yan na tumutulong upang marating ang ating mga liblib na barangay. At sa kasalukuyan ay nakapag-deliver na tayo ng higit kumulang na 80,000 pounds sa liblib na barangay bukod doon sa mga built-up areas na madaling marating ng mga sasakyan. Yan po ang ginagawa ng inyong sandatahang lakas sa Bohol, maliban sa pagtulong din namin sa search and rescue noong unang mga araw at sa retrieval operation na still ongoing ngayon. Meron po kaming isang challenge na hinaharap, yung pong pagpapalaki ng daan sa Antiquera at sa San Isidro. At kung darating lamang in coordination with DPWH ang aming pong mga materyales o mga explosives ay magagawa ng paraan na mapalaki ito. Yan po lamang, mahal na Pangulo, ang aking i-report at maraming salamat po. Magandang gabi.
Paki-convert mo nga yung pounds to kilos.
I-divide ko po ng 2.2.
Kailangan natin malaman kung tamang pounds ano dahil pag kumuha tayo ng bigas parating kilo pinamumudmud eh. So convert yung kilo to pounds muna. Baka namang, hindi, gusto ko lang ma-check. Is it pounds or kilos ang nire-report? Baka naman nagkamali lang na ano.
Pounds po, mahal na Pangulo. Ang ginagamit po kasi ng Air Force ay pounds. Subalit, i-convert ko po sa
Hindi, di
sa
bale.
kilos. Salamat po.
Pero matagal na tayong metric kasing dapat zero.
Yes, sir.
Di ba? Tsaka later on, tons ang ginagamit rin. Parang katakot-takot na conversion. Baka naman, yung point lang, yung tao, ito family, ito consumption, is normally measured in kilos. At pag nag-convert tayo at medyo nag-round off, baka naman kumulang, yeah, or sumobra, or mali yung magiging planning natin. Sabi yung consistency lang hinahabol. Okay.
We now listen to the guidance of the President.
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate everybody for the level of performance. So given the magnitude of the problem and the continuing problem of the aftershocks. Okay. Yung primary palagi kong problema is the mindset of the people. Yung siguro best way to explain it, pag may bagyo, darating yung bagyo, alis yung bagyo, no, rebuild na tayo kaagad, di ba? Medyo tapos na yung problema. Dito pag nararamdaman yung aftershock, parang the problem persists, no? Yung tension that was experienced during the event itself, the 7.2, is somehow relieved each time there's an aftershock. Okay. Yung getting the people who can go back to their houses seems to be the most urgent priority, no? And that's part of the reason that I'm here and the rest of you are also here. Yung we'd like to inform the provincial government and the municipal government. So, both PBOX and the MGB say there is no imminent danger, no? And siguro we're putting everything where our mouths are by sharing whatever will happen to all of us. But I'm very, very confident that they have performed the right studies. They actually inspected yung fractures on the the mountains near Inabanga. They actually walked along the fractures, no? Yung parang proof rin, as far as I'm concerned, na gano'n sila ka-sure na their studies and their findings and their analysis is correct. You will not go, di ba? You have the knowledge, you will not go somewhere na talagang expose yourself to unnecessary danger. Okay. Failure to assure our people that especially those that can go back to their houses, makes them parang vulnerable to other issues like itong upper respiratory infection, no? Exposure to elements. That compounds the problem. Delays also our ability to assist those most in need. Dahil yung talagang matindi ang pangangailangan, sinasamahan ng medyo konti ang pangangailangan, asikasuhin lahat, no, nade-delay, yun dapat, yung parang talaga sagad-sagara ka na matulungan. Okay, so, yung perhaps sa kinasa na DPWH and others, no, perhaps the OST can contact all of the, and CHED, no, contact para to increase the number of people who can inspect all of these houses as to structure and as to yung safety of electrical connections. Basta yung, di ba, parang I'm sure magkakaroon ng perpetual questions, baka dapat, no, coordination with the LGUs, may systematic assessment of all of these dwellings to get them to go back to their houses as soon as possible. And then the people who cannot go back, who have lost, who have substantially damaged houses, now can be readily addressed. No? Parang mas focused yung efforts natin doon. And that has to be the most urgent. Yung parang in the briefing lang, hindi ko nakita lang yung systematic na how do we actually ensure that these houses have passed rigor and have been inspected so as to not pose immediate danger. So, yung para all entities hereby represented, you tell me what is needed, no, and we will find the necessary resources, be it people, funds, etc., or facilities, equipment, whatever it is. No. Pero yun ang point, no, yung the relief is ongoing, should be done to the maximum level, but importantly also, and yung concurrently with it, the focus, especially by government and our NGO partners, no, to get our people safely ensconced back in the residences. No. So yung normalcy has to be achieved as early as possible. Nandun na nga tayo sa bare months. No. Weather will be turning colder soon, and you have a population that is exposed to more elements. That is a problem that can be avoided. And I think we are duty bound, no, to ensure we minimize the risks, no, by the General Welfare Clause amongst others. Okay? Yung siguro I'd like to reassure naman the LGUs, no? Yung some members or some talk that we're running out of funds, be it contingency or calamity funds. Yung Secretary Abad tells me that at the very least we have 20 billion in savings presently that can be tapped to address your needs here. And I think yung proof positive naman doon is the work that DSWD, DPWH, and all other entities have been doing. No? Nothing has been stopped by lack of funding. I understand the Senate will be passing a resolution, no? Urging us to at least para allocate between 7.5 billion to augment the current contingency fund, no? From savings. In effect, para bang even if we go back to them and ask for supplemental funding, I think they're in a position to readily agree together with the House. So, wala tayong issue as far as funding is concerned. No, baka through you, I'd like to appeal to the communities na yung, di ba, pagtitingnan natin half full, half empty. No? Dapat mag-conscious effort tayo na kumbinsin yung mga tao, hindi dapat natin tinitingnan na masama yung sitwasyon papunta mas malala. No? Huwag natin iwanan na may yung palaki ng palaki intention, yung agam-agam, yung uncertainty. And that only happens, no, if we are able to show that yung government is really actively working on normalizing the situation here. Okay. Perhaps yung this 2-week food packs, no, should be assembled here at the soonest possible time and clearly visible to everybody as di ba, parang proof positive and experiential on their part na what is needed is already here. No? Meron ba tayong projection when all of this can come in?
Sir, we hope to get that assembled within the week, sir, before the month ends, because the goods are coming in from Cebu, and we've mobilized private sector to go is bringing also goods, and PAL actually is bringing the non-food items. So by October 30, sir, nagdi-distribute na ng 2-week pack.
1 week lang yan. Talagang kung gusto niyong mas maaga, no? I'm sure I won't object. No?
Bukan namin, sir.
Okay. So, anything else? Baka, Governor? Anything? Mayor?
Mr. President, since the venues for the local elections will be held at schools and barangay halls, and most of them have been destroyed or damaged, could we request for financial assistance from you or from other agencies so that the elections could push through as scheduled barangay elections? Yeah, if that would be postponed, and sorry. Could these halls or schools be repaired before the election? Because we will be lacking of venues for the national...
postponement is not within the executive. Siyempre, sagot ng COMELEC yun. And I'm sure Brother Armin would want the kids back in school as soon as possible. So, I haven't received the report kung gaano karaming classrooms actually kailangan repair. But what is the number? 200 something. Diba? I don't think that's too complicated a matter to put up. Yung may mga techniques silang ginagawa. Babes, alala mo kung ano yung fiberboard na may cement na ano tawag doon sa ganong klaseng buildings? Yung parang cement in between this parang plyboard. Katulad ng housing na sa AFP sa PNP. But anyway, yung as soon as I get back to Manila, or baka tonight I can get in touch with Brother Armin. And I'm sure at the end of the day, between Brother Armin and Secretary Babes, no, they will be able to tell me the schedule of when you can expect all of these schools to be finished. Okay. How long will that take? Siyempre, yung first step siguro clearing. Tapos may 276 na replace. It's about 600 lahat-lahat. Medyo lumaki pala. Okay.
So as it relates to the election, hindi po kailangan yung classroom. Ayon sa kay Chairman Brillantes, may funds sila na temporary tent or whatever sa labas. Just for that one-day exercise in November 25. So hindi kinakailangan na matapos yung classroom.
Okay.
Mr. President, The last, yes, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, in our consultations with the COMELEC, particularly Chairman Brillantes, yung postponement sa November 25 will not be predicated on the completion of the work of the classrooms. Meron hong pondo ang COMELEC ayon sa kay Chairman Brillantes na kahit tent or temporary shelter or facility sa labas ng school site, doon nila gagawin yung halalan. Total, 1 day lang yun yung barangay election na yun sa November 25. So meron ho silang pera at kakayahan na gumawa nitong mga temporary na tent, siguro tulad nito, voting center, kahit sa labas ng eskwelahan.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, that's I agree, and I totally also affirm the statements of Secretary Mar with respect to COMELEC's directions in the facilities that they will be holding in case the election is already held on November 25. I mean, that's already set. But the target of the DepEd local in the province of Bohol is already to resume classes on the 25th. And the discussions last night together with DepEd and the engineering group was to really help each other in checking all the classrooms in terms of its availability for the holding of classes on November 5. And the DepEd was asking on support for possible demountable classrooms for areas that are totally damaged. And they are also making inventories of other places where they can hold temporary classes while the buildings are still under repair. The target is to hold classes by November 5 so as not to be so late in the calendar of schedule for classes. So, but since November 25 for election is still a little bit farther away than the opening of classes, I would think there would be no problem at all. Also with the plans of COMELEC that they can hold it outside classrooms, there would be no problem at all to hold the elections by November 25. Thank you.
Ang Mr. President, ang possible na hindi naman problem pero source of confusion, no, is because it was moved to November 25, the election. Then the so-called election period, which is 1 month prior, starts October 25, which is in 2 days. Ngayon ho, kinaklarify pa ho namin sa COMELEC dahil ayon sa election code, kung ikay kandidato, hindi pwede nakasama ka sa relief efforts. But that means that barangay officials, kagawads, etc. are automatically disqualified or cases for electioneering might be filed against them. So nililinaw ho namin tomorrow and or Friday so that COMELEC can come out with a clarification para lahat itong mga tumutulong na barangay officials ay hindi makasuhan ng electioneering ho. No, well, but it's national
appointments.
on construction. Parang wala.
Emergency wala.
I just want to make 1 million percent sure.
Okay.
Mr. President, just to add to the comments of Secretary Mar, what compounds the little bit of confusion is that Republic Act 101, no, 101, oh no, 10121, is that right? Is also specifically enumerating the barangay officials as part of the Dream C.
Exactly.
And so, because this law is institutionalized as the framework by which disaster management is being handled, and then there is also an election period, that is where the reconciliation and clarification of COMELEC is very necessary. Thank you. In the next 2 days. Thank you.
In behalf of the barangays, most of them cannot afford to reconstruct their barangay hall. So my question is, saan po nila kukunin yung pang-reconstruct ng mga barangay halls, sir? Kasi most of their eras are insufficient. The funding is insufficient to reconstruct barangay halls. And another concern is, I've been asked by one reporter asked me, why do we delegate the distribution of relief goods to the barangay captain? So I said because they are the chairman of the BDRRMC. They must be coordinated and channeled through the chairman. Thank you.
Study lang natin sa barangay halls, no? I don't wanna commit right now na hanggang saan ba pwede national funds for purely local government units, no? Baka naman ma-technical na naman tayong, or baka katakot-takot na question na naman, or baka sabihin ako yung nag-electioneering, no? So, let me just study that that particular matter. It's actually in my head, no? Yung pati provincial roads, barangay roads, municipal roads, etc. Yung interest ko dito is to get all these facilities up, no? And yung parang ginagamit ng taong bayan kaysa magdiskuso ng lahat ng abogado na pasensyahan muna tayo hanggang ma-resolve ng lahat nito bago asikasuhin yung pangangailangan natin mga kababayan. So umasa ko kayo talagang mamadaliin natin yung pag-aaral ng lahat ng mga abogado para naman na mapabilis natin yung lahat na kailangan maparating sa inyo dito sa, hindi lang sa Loon, pero sa kabuuan ng Bohol, tsaka mga ibang lugar na apektado rin. Meron na rin mga sa pribadong sektor na tumutulong pati sa mga simbahan. No? Isa rin sa mauna kong tinanong, no? Separation of church and state. Yung batas ba, may batas ba na nag-authorize na magta-transfer ng public funds sa isang religion? Yeah? Meron raw, pero meron na rin private sector na substantial na may tutulong. Tinatapos na yung mekanismo. No? Ayoko naman i-commit na ngayon, lalo na dahil private sector nga yung maglalagay nitong pondong to. Pero pati yung, sa simbahan, meron na rin may mga tumitingin na gustong tumutulong na at nakahandang tumulong para doon. So, actually, oras lang. Siguro, again, no, ulitin ko lang. Dumating yung lindol, walang makakapigil yan. No? Ito yung anong gagawin natin after dumating yung lindol, yun ang importante. Yung mabigyan natin ng kapanatagan ng loob, lahat ng mga kababayan natin, at maibalik sila, tahanan lang, normal silang buhay, should be parang the very first imperative. No? Pag hindi natin naasikaso mabuti ito, magko-compound tayo ng problema. Yeah? Dahil nga, exposed sa elements, hindi nakakain sa tamang oras, maliit na diferensya, may konting karamdaman, pababayaan, etc. etc. No? Pwede naman maiwasan lahat yun. At yun ang inaasahan ko sana, pagtutulungan natin, maiwasan na magkaroon pa ng parang mga anak na ibang problema na hindi naman kailangan talaga. Ngayon pati rin sa na-disseminate. Kaya magaling talaga si Governor Chato yung sa housing naman na-disseminate niya information, hindi ko na siguro kailangan ulitin. No? Basta, again, yung parang tinurun akong huwag mangako na hindi matutupad. No? At tinignan ko nga, bago ako nagko-commit sa inyo, maliwanag na may kakayahan, may abilidad, yung pamahalaan para tugunan yung mga lehitimong pangangailangan. Okay? So, with that, maraming salamat. Dadalawin lang namin yung aming tutulugan ngayong gabi. No? Last time kasi namin na pumasok sa tent or natulog sa tent, grade school pa ho kami. But of course, that was about 12 years ago. No? So, medyo nasa living memory pa yata. Si Ikot yata mga 7 years ago. Okay, so maraming salamat ulit sa inyo.